to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blasdale.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I am your host, Christine Blasdale, and I am so happy that you tuned in today because I have a really special guest that we've had so much fun being together just recently, and I wanted to bring her on because we are going to be talking about how to speak with confidence, girl. How you can get that message out about your business, get the message out about the program that you're working with, and share your wisdom and wit with the world with my incredible guest today. Her name is Sam Buckingham, and for the past 25 years, she has graced the screens on Australian television. She's currently working as an on-air presenter at the Television Shopping Network, TVSN, and representing brands on all of the major morning chat shows here in Australia. Her warm, down-to-earth, and charming on-air presentations have made her a much-loved and sought-after presenter. And she's also an amazing, you have such the wonderful gift of gab. You're great at just doing interviews. You interview me, and I feel like $1 million. And so I just want to say thank you so much. And welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, Sam.
Thanks, Christine. It's so good to be here. I've been waiting for this moment, because we've connected several times. We met, first of all, in person in Los Angeles, didn't we?
Yes.
Wow,
that's
awesome.
Right. And
I actually
now
stalked you online. I'm not sure how I found you or whatever, and stalked you online. We connected, and your wife, of course, is in Australia, and my cousin knows you guys, and there's some sort of these crazy connections that we've got. So we had drinks and hors d'oeuvres by the pool.
It was meant to be, darling. It was meant to be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better person to have on when we're talking about the subject of how to speak with confidence. But before we get into getting some tips from you, from an expert like yourself, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers on YouTube, why don't you tell them a little bit about how you got into this? Because, again, I have a radio background. I know you have a radio background, but you took it an extra step, and now you're on television. Why don't you let our wonderful subscribers know how you got started?
Sure. I guess I owe it to my mum. We lived next door to a speech and drama teacher, this old lady, I remember it was 86, but and my parents made me go to speech and drama lessons, and I couldn't get out of it. Even though my friends would hang around at the train station after school and I wanted to hang around with them, I'd have to get back to speech and drama. And I would learn poetry, and we would read plays together, and she would work on my articulation and my voice production and projection. And she was just this beautiful grandmotherly figure. And she used to train one of our ex-prime ministers in Australia, and a ministerial car would drive him to her house, and she would train him and be his speechwriter. And little did I know at the time how it was gifting me. And in fact, my speaking voice has come to frame my entire career. Right. So it's pretty astounding. And I didn't know it would be that. I went to university, and I've done a degree, and I've done a diploma in my speech and drama. But I just didn't. I then fell into, I got into amateur theatre. And a famous Sydney actor, John Howard, actually came to see one of my performances, stayed back after the show, and he said, "You need to take this further, you're a natural." And so I went looking for an agent, and the agent said, "You're a TV girl, go and get me a show reel, show me the work you've done." I said, "Well, I've done nothing." And so you sort of stuck, because no agent wants to take you on unless you've got a reel to show them. But how do you get a reel unless you've got the job? So he goes, "Just you're a TV face, so go and just work it out." So I hired a cameraman, wrote 2 stories, a human interest story, a travel story, a couple of things, and just shot them out and about, and gave it to the agent. He put me on straight away. And I think it was within 5 weeks that I got my first job as a live on-air presenter back in the late 90s on the Television Shopping Network. Move on 20 odd years, and I'm back there now. That's where I'm working now, full time. That's my full-time gig pretty much. But I've done sort of everything in between. So it was really interesting. I've sort of come and gone from TVSN. And that's actually filmed live. They do 13 hours of live television every day. At times like this, it's fantastic. Business has never been better because you can shop securely online with a 30-day money-back guarantee. I'm not trying to sell you the network, but I'm just letting you know why it's just so good. And they also give you interest-free repayments and things like that. And essentially, it's a department store. And there's fashion, and there's accessories, and there's electrical, and there's kitchen area, and there's Manchester, and there's jewelry, and there's skincare and makeup and all of that. But since then, I sort of have ebbed and flowed and moved around in the space. And I was very much a prominent face on all of the morning chat shows in Australia. You unlikely to know them all, Christine, because you weren't here then, but Good Morning Australia, it was originally with Bert Newton. I think it used to be called the Bert Newton Show, and I was doing it then with him. Then it turned into Good Morning Australia. Then it was abbreviated to GMA. Mornings with Kerry Ann, so that was working with Kerry Ann Kennelly, and the Circle and on Channel 10, and the morning show on Channel 7. So they all have these their morning chat show that goes from 9 till 11. They have what's called advertorials, and they're 4-minute segments where you'll see brands come on. It might be it might be a mop, it might be travel insurance, it might be pet insurance, it might be holidays, and there's a host for the network and a presenter that presents the deal. So I have done, I don't know, thousands and thousands of those in the morning chat shows. They're called advertorials, and they're 4-minute segments. So that's where a lot of people are familiar with my face, and they can't quite place where they know me from, but it's probably because I've popped up on your screens, whether you've been at the gym on your push bike, and I'm always popping up on those screens, you know what I mean? Or whether, you're getting the kids off to school, or at home cleaning up the kitchen and you've got the telly on. It's likely that I've popped up on those. So that's kind of, So I started back in speech and drama. I got into television by accident, really. My aim was to be in live theatre, which is my passion. But I guess my voice has been honed so much that it works so well with television and presenting.
Well, and it is a bit of live theater, isn't it? Because it's one thing to record, like, I'm doing a podcast and we do it in video, but it's recorded, right? So I have a bit of control. I'm a producer, so I'm also a little bit of a control freak. But when you're doing something live, whoo, that pressure is on. How do you get nervous still at all about going live, or is that gone now? You're like, yep, got a job to do. I'm going to do it.
It's, sometimes I can have this anticipatory feeling, whether it's nerves. It might be a bit of nerves, but I'm not riddled with nerves. I only came back to live presenting back in November. And I'd been out of live presenting because all of the advertorials are pre-recorded. So if you stuff up or bloop up, they go cut, and we do a retake, right? They film it as if it is live though, but then if you stumble on your words, they do a retake. But at TVSN, there's it's all live. I guess, it's an interesting thing. It's fear. Everybody gets fear. And yes, I guess I do sometimes. It settles a bit now because I'm very much in my flow. But coming back to it, I was like a brand new kid again. And I was really tangled up with nerves in that, we're going live. They do the countdown in my ear, coming to you in 10 seconds, 9, they're counting on the floor, 8, 7, coming to you on camera, 1, in 3, 2, 1, and you're on. It's like, oh. But, I read Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Committed, and Big Magic, I think it's a recent one. And she spoke to Marie Forleo about, getting nervous as an author, but how people experience fear. And I think it was for the Big Magic interview. And she said, everyone experiences fear. As a new author, she was fearful to put pen to paper, to put her ideas out to the whole world, out for everybody's opinion and judgment. It's not just, even professionals honed in their craft still get a little fearful and experience nerves. And she said, the difference is, she said, I think the way to deal with it is you've got to recognize that fear has a role. Okay. If without fear, most of us would be dead. You know, those times when you're walking the back streets of King's Cross and you think you'll go down that alleyway to cut a shortcut to get to your car, and something just, that intuition stops you and goes, no, don't do it. And you don't. Or that something kicks in and says to you, don't get into the car with them. And therefore it steers your decision. Fear and that intuition, it guides us to and keeps us safe. So that's what its job. It's there for a reason, but it's when fear gets out of control and starts to dominate your thinking and impact your performance where you need to rein it in a bit. So Elizabeth Gilbert says, acknowledge fear and know that it's there to do a job. Talk to it and invite it along for the ride, but just don't let it get in the front seat and start driving. You've got to go, hold on a second, you're in the passenger seat, fear. Thank you very much for warning me. Yep, thank you very much. There's a turn up here to be careful of. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, but I've got this, right? Because without fear, you can't be scared.
No, that is so absolutely spot on, because, well, being in live radio, again, you're live. Nobody's watching you, but you're live.
You're live.
So many, after 20, I was on radio for 20 years. And so there's a lot of times that things can go wrong. So if you go to play a clip, okay, let's hear from this, let's hear from this interview that I did with so-and-so. It's great. You're going to love it. And we'll be right back after this clip. And then you go to it. And then the guy that's in master control is going, I don't know what happened. And so
exactly.
So the other thing is what I like what you said is that everybody has fear. It's what we do with it. And also when things go wrong, I can always tell you, I can always tell a professional, not so much when things go right, but when things go wrong. So, like when you go to a clip and it's not there, you have to think quick on your feet, and you have to also let the audience know, okay, obviously we're having some technical difficulties. Laugh about it. It's that thing. If you're angry, that clip didn't play, and I'm, and they can feel, again, the audience can feel you. And we're going to talk about how if you're doing television or you're doing podcasting or you're on the radio or you're doing a social media live video, people can feel your energy, right?
Yes.
But I think that the knowing what to do, I saw this woman, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Angelique Kidjo, who is an amazing singer. And I went to see her live in Los Angeles one time, and she was out there and she had a whole dancers with her, and there's this beautiful song, and she's going, and she jumped from where she was onto a platform.
Yes.
When she jumped on the platform, it was like the wood on the platform slid out from underneath her, and she fell like 6 feet down. She had her microphone, right? And she fell. And when she fell, she caught herself from her armpits on these pipes. Wow. She did not stop singing.
Oh, you're kidding.
She didn't break a beat. She kept going, and the crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Has anything weird happened on live television? Props falling down?
The other day, it happens all the time. We've got a competition running at the moment on TVSN. It's a spin the wheel competition. So I did the morning show, which is called Good Morning TVSN, just the other day. It was on Saturday. And I was working with Jamie Malcolm, who I've worked with over the years. And he said, Sammy, do you want to spin the wheel today? And we weren't spinning the wheel then, but he was talking about the competition coming up. And I said, yeah, I will. And today I'm going to spin the wheel and I'm going to kick up my heel. You know, those old girls that on the shows back in the 60s, they'd kick their little heel up and spin the wheel. And right behind me was this little footstool, and I didn't know. And I lifted up my heel at that time and I kicked the footstool and went, oh, like that. And we both broke up laughing. And anyway, we just started laughing, and I said, just like that. And then we just kept moving. We had a laugh and we just kept moving on. But another time my heel broke. I'm standing on set and I've got these gorgeous heels on, and the whole sole of the foot detached from and it became like a flipper with a big heel hanging off it. So I was standing there, and the producer's saying to me, you can now move to the couch set, because we moved between sets. And I was going, like, I can't walk. And they're like, what, you got a problem? And I showed one of the floor coordinators that's there, and I showed them my foot, and they kind of speak on a radio to the director, Sam's shoe's broken. And so they ran around and found another shoe, a pair of shoes that fit me, popped the one, they went over to Jamie on the couch, or whoever it was, you know, they changed the cameras. And then I just rolled on over with different shoes on. Things like that happen. And I think, and it happens too when you're a small business owner and you might be doing a live stream. It's not perfect, but the thing that's so good, and it takes all the pressure off, so good to know and learn and understand, is your audience do not want you to be perfect. They're not after that. That puts a huge barrier between you and your audience. So if you can just be real and raw, and, you know, like, it didn't matter if people saw my shoe fell off. And I said I had a bit of a shoe. I came back and I said, well, I had a bit of a shoe blowout there, but that's okay. You know, it's okay. Like, and admit it. The awkwardness comes when you try and maintain perfection,
Yes,
and cover it up.
Well, you're relatable, that because you're human and you're relatable, and actually you'll become even, you know, more endearing to people. I remember a time when we would be doing live call-ins, and that's a very dangerous thing because you don't know who's calling in. Usually I try to put a protective bubble around it. I would say, okay, we're going to open up the calls and tell us what you think about the segment we just did. And I would try and put a protective bubble around it. But every now and then you'd get that person that would come through, and, you know, you could be talking about like the Middle East or something, and they go, you know, I love ravioli and I think ravioli is like the best thing ever. And you know, everybody, the audience is hearing it. Everybody in their car stuck on the 405 heard that. And how are you going to react? Or if it's somebody that's a little abusive, you know, like a little, you know, going on and on and on. So the skill set is also knowing how to handle those kind of things on the spur, and to not lose your cool, and to know that, you know, once you get them off be polite, get them off the phone, you know, to go to the audience, go, whoo, you know.
Exactly. That's right. Like, so to let them know that was difficult for me too.
Yes. It was difficult for you to listen to. It was even more difficult. Right.
I did the best I could in a live situation. That's right. It's about, you do have to think on your feet a lot. And then redirect the conversation, or jump in and go, hey guys, I just need to give you a quick update, and cut them off. And then if you've got a producer who knows what they're doing, they can just get rid of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So,
well, since we're going to be covering how to speak with confidence, and you've got lots of confidence, and I know that's from the time in the saddle, so to speak, with the television and all the work that you've been doing. Let's give our listeners and our viewers a little, maybe some advice on some things that they, if they're doing a podcast, or if they're doing videos, if they're going to be doing a YouTube channel, or if they're doing social media, those lives that they do. What are some things that we want? Let's start off with some things we want to steer away from, things that we perhaps don't want to do, or even as well if they're doing public speaking, you know, to an audience of people. What are some things that we want to steer people away from?
Well, look, I think people get nervous, and when they're nervous, it changes their physiology. They'll get a dry mouth, they'll get really tense and stuck. It impacts their voice. They get stuck in their head. They freeze. They get a deer in the headlights look, where they stare at the camera. They don't know what to do with their hands. So they either use their hands all the time and they're moving it too much, or they get totally stiff. What all that is about is that they're in their head. And it's a difficult shift, but I need to get them out of their head and into their body. They know their content so well. That's the thing. Most people know what they're going to be talking about. They know their business. They know their product. They know their service. They can talk about it. But as soon as the camera comes on or the microphone, they go, oh, and they freeze. So one thing that's really good is to help shift you out of your brain space and thinking brain and into your body so that you can get into a flow. It's putting on some music and dancing. It's having big breaths and shaking it out a little bit. It's walking around the room and just saying what you're going to say and just shaking your body, actually getting in touch with your physical body parts. And it's really what actors and performers do before they go on stage or into the circus or what have you. So it's getting out of your head, because it's that thinking brain that throws you into this fear that causes the physiological changes. The other thing is when you look at the camera, for example, I want you to, rather than seeing it as a thing, I want you to like look through the lens and picture one person that you're talking to. And what I used to do was I used to look through the lens, and I might give you a difference here. So I'm looking at the lens now, and then it's becoming a bit of a stare. I just soften and I'm looking through the lens, and I'm just picturing one person, which is my grandma, and she's warm and beautiful. And so it's softening me, right? And I'm looking into you rather than staring at you. These small little things. And the other thing too is it's okay to blink. Don't forget to blink. And you might need to remind yourself, like, blink every now and then. The other thing too is that it's okay to pause. So you've asked me a question and I'm answering you. And if I need to think, it's okay if I look off camera and take a pause and then come back, right? And it's okay if I look down. I might have some notes here, you know, and I want to look at my notes. It's okay if I go say, hold on a sec, you know, let me check on that and read my notes and come back. Is that offensive? It's not. It's totally natural. But people think, oh, the camera's on, I've just got to stand there, I've just got to keep talking at it, I can't stop, I've got to fill all of the space. But what that does is when you fill all of the space, people can't hear all of your words. It's the pauses in between your words that allow them to resonate with and reflect back on what you've just said, and therefore they get a deeper level of understanding. So pauses are essential. And so they might feel awkward to begin with, and a slight pause that's deliberate may seem like a huge block in what you're saying, but I promise you, it'll be imperceptible to the listener.
And it makes it so much more powerful. You know, it's the same if you're doing an interview with someone, if you have a podcast or if you're on radio and you're interviewing someone and they say something very profound, or they tell you about a story, they tell you about something that they've overcome, something that they've suffered, some trauma. You know, some people, they just have a list of questions and they're like, yes, okay, so where did you go to school? And the audience is like, they just poured their heart out on you. So taking that pause, taking that moment and going, wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Or I had a woman that I was interviewing who had gone through such horrific abuse. And when she told her story, because she wanted to share her story to stop what was happening in the world. When she said that, I became, because I was right there with her when it happened, you know, in my mind. Yeah. I actually stopped and I started crying. Yeah. Because to feel, first of all, how brave she was to tell her story, but that was my emotion. And I know that anyone that listened to that podcast or watched it did the same thing. Instead of going on to the next question like a robot, right? You're like a robot. Imagine filling that space with chatter. You're honoring her words by providing the space for her words to land in the lap of the listener, for them to just take a moment to take the words in and resonate with what she said, instead of stepping in all over of what she's just said on top of her. It's almost a violation to do that as a broadcaster. You need to provide that space. It's almost like an honoring of the person in the interview. Oh, definitely. It is definitely an honor, you know, and that's something that I think that maybe it's practice, and it's the more that you have those kind of conversations. But
Yes.
but also when you're telling a story, if you're not with someone, you're not interviewing someone, you're not speaking with someone, but you're just presenting your own story, you're doing a public speaking event, you're at Toastmasters, or
Yes.
you're doing a live social media video, and you share a story that is impactful. Again, it's okay to connect with the audience, and it's okay to have a moment and go,
Yeah.
wow, I talk when my grandmother is she's with me always,
Yeah.
but she's one of my favorite people on the whole planet. And when I think of her, I'll just, because I can feel her. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
feel her around me.
Yeah.
She's always around me. Even
Yeah.
though she's left this plane of existence,
Yeah.
quite many years. But when you take that moment and you honor your emotions and you honor your feelings, the audience
Mm-hmm.
gets drawn in even more because they're connecting with
Yes.
you, right?
That's right. And look, I think part of it is, an inexperienced interviewer or, person on video, or somebody that's nervous is more likely to just think, oh, got to jump in with another question or more words because I've got to keep this going. But it's about that they feel this necessity to fill the space, and it's actually not necessary. So, and the other thing too is pausing is so powerful because it gives you permission to completely change course of conversation. So you could have asked me a question and I might be talking about, how I grew up and got into things. And then I can pause. So the ball's still with me. I'm still holding the baton. I'm still talking. I can pause and say, do you know what? I'm pregnant. It gives you total permission to do that, like to just start on something completely random and off topic. And so there's so much power in that.
You're not pregnant, are you?
If this is getting, no, I'm not pregnant, by the way. If this is getting out of your territory, off topic, you know how conversations can go in a direction you're thinking, this is getting out of my territory. Shouldn't be talking on this. You can say something and then pause and say, do you know what? I could steer this interview back to something else if I wanted to. Exactly. Just by pausing and then reshifting and then starting up something else.
Let's talk, because we talked about some of the things that we want to avoid, right? And the good thing is that it all, again, it comes with practice. The more you do it, the easier you're going to feel. You go, oh, okay, the last time I did that, I watched the video and I could see I was nervous. Next time I'm not going to be as nervous because I've done this before. But now let's talk about some of the things that we want to incorporate when we're speaking, when we're doing video, or things that we want to make sure, okay, let's not let these opportunities go away. And if you have any tips for our wonderful listeners and viewers, that would be awesome.
Sure. A lot of people don't know how to start or end a video. It's like, what do I say? They've got all of this content that they want to share, but they don't know how to start and they don't know how to end. And that's really important. So essentially, you look at your video as a sandwich. You've got your opener, you've got the filling. And so you've got the top bit of the bread, which is your opener. You've got the filling. And then you've got the bottom bit of the bread, which is your closer. Okay. So at the top, people want to know who you are, why you're talking, and what you're going to talk about. So your introduction needs to cover those things off really succinctly and concisely. So I might say, hi, my name's Sam Buckingham. I help people captivate on video. And today I want to talk to you about how you can have more confidence when you speak on camera. So I've said who I am, what I do, which gives my credibility, and what I'm going to tell them, like what's in it for me, right? And then that's your opener done. And then you say, the first thing I want to talk about is, and you just get into your content. Okay, so your opener needs to cover off that, who you are, what you do, and what's in it for them. Then you've got your content, and then the close is equally important. A lot of people will go on and on and on and on and keep going on because they don't know how to end it. And so what that does is dilutes everything that they've said before that. If you can sign off and know when enough's enough, you've said enough, sign off and say what they want to do is they want to be given a directive on where to go now or what to do. So you say, well, that wraps up today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love you to subscribe below, or, like this video, subscribe below. And if you want more from me, go and sign up to my newsletter, or go and do this, right? Bye. And then that's it. You just need to know to stop it, but then tell them what to do. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love you to subscribe to my video below and then join up on my newsletter by going to here. See ya. And it's over. We want to know, that sets the boundary. People want to know that that's it. It's a container of information. You've opened it well, given them clear directives of what you're giving them. You've given them the information and you've closed it off, giving them clear directives of what to do next. Perfect. There's your video.
I love it. And I also love what you said when something very important is knowing when to stop.
Exactly. It's like a lot of things, right?
I've heard some people get up and do speeches, and they got you in the beginning and you want them to win. You want them to be successful. You're like, I got you, okay, I'm invested. I'm sitting here. You're going to tell me something. I'm going to learn, or I'm going to laugh, or I'm going to, be educated in some way. And so you have your audience, and then, you never, for those that are starting out, if you never get to the point, or you take forever to get to the point, you're going to lose us. You're going to lose us. We're gone. We're thinking about what we're going to have for dinner. We're like, oh my gosh, does this person see how bored I am? Because I don't know when they're going to get to, they're telling me every single detail about, well, I got in my car and then I had to turn the key on the car, and, I had to start the engine. And then I had to, it was really kind of sunny. So I had to put my sunglasses on. And it's like, when is this person going to get to the point? Once you get to the point, tell us why we waited that long to get there. Once you get to the point, know when to wrap up.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Because some people can go on and on and on and on.
I think it's like, you should always leave the party wanting more. Don't leave and be the last straggler when you're all kicked out and it gets all messy. And you want to leave your audience wanting more. One more tip is your eye line when you're on video. So it's looking at the camera. And if you want to look away, you can look away from the camera, and then you can look back at the camera, and you can look down at your notes. But the worst thing to do is to slightly deviate off the camera like that and come back to the camera. Doing these little tiny deviations off the camera is kind of fatal to your connection. So it's almost looks like, oh, somebody's walked past behind the camera and she's more interested in them than she is in us, right? So if you're going to look away from the camera, turn away and look over here and then come back, or look down at your notes and make it obvious and then come back. But don't do these little sneaky eyes off to the side.
Sneaky eyes. That's right. They
Sneaky eyes.
They do. They make you look sneaky, and then people can't trust you. She's like dodgy. She's looking all over the place. Yeah,
exactly. And look, I think with these things as well, like we're on Zoom right now, Chris, and I've been looking at the lens, and the lens is the little green dot. And on a phone, it's your little green dot at the top here. That's where you want to look at. But if you're doing a live video, a Facebook Live, most people look at the display screen in here where they see themselves. But what that actually looks like is this. That looks like that, right? So whilst the image that I've got of you right now, if I was looking at your face, I'd be looking like that.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at you next to me, and I'm not looking right into the lens. I should be looking right into the lens, shouldn't I?
It's okay. No, because I'm not, I'm talking and I'm giving you the camera tips. So I got to look into the lens. People listening
to this on podcasts are going, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Apologies for that. So we're just
watch
talking
it on
about
the YouTube.
Knowing where the lens is, rather than, especially in a live video, rather than looking at yourself in the display screen.
That's hard to do. That's hard to do because we want to look at ourselves to make sure that we look okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Okay, but that's a great tip, Sam.
I know. Just little, you know what? There's these tiny little helpful tips. They're just tiny, but they make an enormous difference to your presentation. And when you play it back and look at yourself, you think, oh my gosh, I look so much better. And then that boosts your confidence for the next time. So all of these little tips just are so helpful. They're transformative.
You transform lives every single day, my dear. So Sam, I want to let people know, and you're welcome back to come back on Out of the Box with Christine any old time. I love you, adore you, and I know we're going to be hopefully going to be working together doing some stuff in the near future. But why don't you let our listeners and viewers know how they can get in touch with you and find out more about what you're doing, what's coming down the road, and all that good stuff. Where you have a website you want to throw out?
I do, absolutely. So I'm samanthabuckingham.com.au. Samantha, my full name. I'm just about to put an opt-in up there at the moment, but if you want to just shoot me an email and just say hi, and I can shoot you a link if you wanted to set up a little, half-hour chat with me or something like that. So just go to the contact page on my website until I get my opt-in happening. But I am creating a little program at the moment called the Captivation Code, How to Captivate on Camera. And that'll be launching shortly. It's been in the pipeline for quite some time, so I've got to get it out there. And if you let me know your email address, I can send you out details on that. It's going to be an affordable one, but it's going to help people, you, me, and the neighbours start to get really comfortable on video, know how to open and close their videos, how much content to deliver, how to stand, how to move, how to look, how to feel good, and how to also make sure they are the expert and come across as that. So that's coming soon. And of course, you can tune into TVSN and watch me on some of the shows and say hi.
That's actually really fun. And I don't watch television, so that would be something that would be really good to see you on that as well. Thank you so very much, Sam. I just love and adore you. And we'll make sure that we have the link to your website, samanthabuckingham.com.au. It's going to be in the show notes, so people can just click on it easily to get in touch with her. And and again, thank you so very much.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. It's been great to be on the show.
Yes. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. And remember, if you want more information about this podcast, you can go to outoftheboxwithchristine.com. If you want more information about me, go to christineblasdale.com, and just make sure you like and subscribe and share this as well. You might know somebody that could really benefit from what Sam was talking about. And if you think this is important for somebody who's maybe creating a podcast or maybe doing social media videos, send it to them. Send the link to them so they can watch it as well. All right. Until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside that damn box. Bye for now.
See ya.